Riot Fest, an amazing non-profit festival held in Chicago, Illinois, giving back to the community, highlighting the best in rock, metal, alternative, emo, punk, indie, and making sure anyone online gets all the crap they deserve if you go after Riot Fest in the socials. Also, there's a lot of John Stamos worship. A lot. I've been to Riot Fest every year for the last 3 years. This time I wanted to see what everyone else thought though. So I went in one of the message groups for Riot Fest and wanted to see what everyone's craziest or funniest story was from attending Riot Fest throughout 20 plus years. You know how this works. Let's get to it. It's always fun to run into the pig. A little creepier to run into that older gentleman in the thong selling beverages from a wagon. I have several questions. One, where was the pig? I've been there 3 years and have never seen the pig, and I've been all over Riot Fest every year. Why did I miss out on the pig? Two, I'm glad I missed out on Thong Beverage Man. Was he selling the beverages like at the ballpark where he's going soda, but just wearing a thong and throwing them out to people? I feel like that's a health code violation. Riot Fest 2018. At the end of the Wonder Years set, I arrived and started to move forward to get a good spot for Bad Religion as the people who prefer emo bands left for another stage. I made it all the way up to the rail, and in the pit area behind me, someone fell into a set of car keys. They started asking around but couldn't find the owner, so they started a chant. Who lost keys? Who lost keys? Who lost keys? People around them joined in until the chant spread towards the side of the dispersing crowd. People checked their pockets, looked relieved, then joined in on the chant. After about a minute, there was a response, I lost keys! I lost keys! Followed by the people around him pointing at him and chanting, he lost keys! He lost keys! In under 2 minutes, keys were found and reunited across the festival crowd. Incredible teamwork. Great work, Riot Fest. Why can't more wholesome things like that happen at festivals? It doesn't have to be hard debauchery and hard substance abuse and people passing out and getting in fistfights non-stop. A few years ago, we were watching someone at the Rebel stage. We were in a spot that had developed a walkway in front of it. The guy next to me kept stopping people saying, hey, have you heard the news? And when they said, no, what? He'd say, you're awesome! After watching him do it a few times, he turned to me and asked, so I said, you're awesome. And he said, that's my line. Turned out it was his first fest and he was living his best life. Now it's a joke amongst our Riot squad. Have you heard the news? Again, festivals can be somewhat wholesome even if it's Riot Fest and most of the music is angry. I've only been once, but my favorite part was helping Pee-wee crowd surf to the Beach Boys. That was never on my bingo card of life. I was there for that. I saw Pee-wee throughout the day last year, and I had to point to my friends, Pee-wee! And my friends went, what? Pee-wee! What? Pee-wee Herman! What? Look, Pee-wee! I didn't know how else to describe it. How do you describe Pee-wee Herman? Doesn't everyone just know? Also, him being a Beach Boys fan is a bit of a shock. I watched someone throw hot dogs at Morrissey. As a vegan, I wholeheartedly support that person. I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe that is a better use of the animal's life. Dude was walking around offering people to let people punch him for $10. Someone took him up on it. I've heard of worse ways to make money. Someone left the comment, Spider-Man nipples. Didn't give any explanation, didn't say anything else, no photos, nothing. The Wall of Death during the Village People. Epic. I've heard the legends many times. I don't even know what song it was to. All I know is those elderly village people must have been real confused. The night MCR played, everyone was wearing their best black goth wear, and then I saw them. 2 people, both dressed in matching bright blue gingham dresses, holding hands and skipping through the crowd. Maybe they were lost. My helper one year, when vending my glow-in-the-dark dragon posters, took a break, and when she got back, she got bit by a pig, and we all thought she was just tripping, but turns out a pig walked by with a jacket. Lol. I guess the pig took a sip of her beer, and she was like, no, and pulled away, and it gave her a love nip on the arm or something. The pig's making more friends than I am at this festival. What the heck's going on? Corn dog pit for Sincere Engineer. I was there for that. It was very charming. Everyone had corn dogs while doing a circle pit. Harmless, wholesome, just like Sincere Engineer. Jesus getting engaged by the Punk Rock Saves Lives tents, and they posted a photo. Yeah, that looks like Riot Fest to me. There are several people dressed up as Jesus, and the porta-potties are a bit of the charm of Riot Fest, which sounds disgusting, but it's not. They have an abundance, and you can rent out porta-potties and like sponsor them, so you can name each porta-potty whatever you want if you sponsor a porta-potty, and that goes to the nonprofit. Brilliant idea, and Riot Fest stands as one of the few festivals where the porta-potty situation is not always disgusting. only sometimes disgusting. 2025, a couple sitting on a blanket in the middle of all these crowds of people dressed as Where's Waldo. Found him. Jesus smoking a cig in VIP after a rough go-around in the pit. That's pretty punk. Asterisk, I don't know if Jesus would be the type to buy a VIP ticket. Maybe someone gave it to him. The guy with the emotional support rat. Poor rat. This was my first year attending and I got deathly ill on the day we left. Then I had walking pneumonia. As soon as we got our wristbands and arrived inside the festival to go watch our first set, Mariana's Trench, I immediately had to leave the stage area to go get sick. Sorry if anyone saw me vomiting exorcism style behind the baseball diamond. 1, not the first time someone's gotten sick at a festival. 2, not the first time someone's had to throw up from being so sick from seeing baseball diamond in Chicago. Get it? Because their teams are poop. I say that as a St. Louis man. Go Cardinals. Some guy standing next to me towards the back of the Menzingers set shook his shorts a bit and a turd fell out. Oh, I think he thought no one noticed. Sometimes I think back and wonder how many people stepped in it, or worse, maybe someone unknowingly laid a blanket over it to rest between Menzingers in the next set. Oh, I don't think anyone's gonna know. Just gotta be discreet about this. Yeah. Oh, Menzingers. Oh. Finally, someone left a comment with a link to a Reddit post for a misconnection a few months ago, but this is for a story going to 2007. That misconnection might have missed out by now, but we'll go for it anyway. Misconnections. Riot Fest 2007, you fought the whole security team and went to jail. In 2007, when Riot Fest was still operating out of the Congress, my band played the satellite show at the old Double Door with the Exploited, or basically Waddy, with a bunch of kids in their 20s. It was a pretty great show, but that's not what this is about. While I was outside of the Milwaukee entrance, a group of bouncers came flying out with a small, thin white girl with dreads who was obviously effed up and putting up one hell of a fight. She must have weighed $110 and was doing fairly well against a cumulative 900 pounds of security from several angles. I was concerned, but impressed. It being the heart of Six Corners, the cops were seconds away, so it was almost no time at all before she was cuffed up, but not before she was stripped nearly naked in the scuffle. Her brother was outside at this point and obviously worried, and I assured him that even though this would probably end up being a pretty minor boo-boo in the grand scheme of her life, there was no way she was not spending the night in jail. I'm not gonna lie, I felt bad. I've never spent the night at 14th Precinct, but I imagine they're as comfortable as the rest of them, and those cells get cold even with all your clothes on. Going in topless in mid-November just sounded too brutal. I dipped into the D&D, and Riot Mike happened to be manning the merch booth, so I gave him a brief rundown and asked if I could get a shirt and get him back for it later. Of course, he waved it off and just gave it to me, so I went back out and handed it out to the female arresting officer, who assured me she would get it before she locked her up for the night. A part of me also admits it was probably pretty cool going to jail and repping RF for us. That girl was effing dangerous. The story's a lot so far, but here we go. That was right before the Congress weekend, so the next day I'm running around in the lobby managing something or other, holding a clipboard and looking very important, and who pops in but the Danger Twins themselves? And Sister Danger is wearing the shirt she went to jail in. My heart burst with pride. They were from the Carolinas, did a zine, and were total sweethearts, drunken melees aside. So if this is you and you're reading this, you never sent me a copy of your zine. What the F, kids? You gotta learn how to close your connection better. You're wanting to connect, not complaining about you not getting a zine from 2007. Is this wholesome? It ends with a decent enough ending. I think meeting up might be out of the question, but I'm glad someone didn't go to jail completely naked. Riot Fest. I would be doing myself a disservice if I did not explain what I saw at the Corey Feldman performance, because I was photographer. I was there. I shot some of the footage and photos. I saw closer than anyone. Yep, it was that awkward. For those who haven't seen it, I put it on my socials and my YouTube. I'll link to it. What happened was Corey Feldman's band came out trying to get the chant going of "Here he comes, the comeback king." Awful chants, by the way. The crowd quietly tried to get into it, even though they were obviously confused. And then after a bass drop, yes, that's what happened, Corey came out in one of his many costumes. I think that's what they're called, costumes. They're not normal outfits. And started dancing and tried to get into it. The band started playing, but they were offbeat from the backtrack and the clicker and everything else. Corey had a fit. He said, "Stop the show, start over," glared at his keyboardist like she was the problem when she wasn't. Then a guitarist went into the mic, said, "I can't hear anything in my monitor," which you don't say in front of the live crowd. And then they started over. They played Comeback King. And the crowd was not like booing or laughing at any of this. Everyone was just watching going, That's it. We didn't know what was going on. I left after about 10 minutes. I got my photos, walked around. You have to go all the way around the crowd to get back to the main body of the festival grounds. While they were doing that, there were thousands of people there for Corey Feldman. Not to hate, not to boo, just out of morbid curiosity. And he probably raised more questions than answers, especially with his onstage setup of the inflatable screen. He had that big Walmart $79.99 screen where you can just project home movies outside. And he said in the mic, there's a lot of cool stuff shown here, but it's too bright out with the sun, so you'll just have to use your imagination. And I remember thinking, why don't you just tell us what's on there? We would have believed anything at that point. I got back to the media tent. Then I found out that Corey Feldman, later that day, met up with none other than ICP, and they went off to play carnival games together. Riot Fest. Riot Fest is great. I always recommend going regardless of the lineup. It'll be later this year in September 2026. You can check the dates out on their socials. Follow their socials anyway. They're hilarious and a little bit angry at times, but only if it's warranted. Still, worth following just for the entertainment value. If you've ever been to Riot Fest, let us know your stories in the comments. Also, let us know what other festivals or just concerts in general you want us to cover. Until then, let me know where I can find this pig. I still feel like I'm missing out.